Hello and welcome back to our Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 1 playthrough. In our last episode we made the journey from Rolent to Bose. We had to sign up to become junior bracers at the Bose Bracers Guild because we're still apprentices basically. We did a few jobs for them and we learned that the Imperial Army is looking into the disappearance of the airship, and they don't particularly feel like sharing information, so we're doing jobs to try and circumvent that. Let's keep going. Estelle says, "Wow, now isn't this a gorgeous place? Check out that crazy expensive looking chandelier." Joshua sighs, "Calm down, Estelle." Scheherazade says, "It looks like this is the mayor's place all right. Now I just wonder if she's home." But Lamena says, "Oh, do we have visitors?" "Welcome to the Bose Mayor's residence. May I ask who you are, please?" Scheherazade says, "We're with the Bracers Guild. The mayor made a request to the guild and would come here to inquire about the details." But Lamena replies, "Well, I have heard from the mayor that we would be expecting you. However, I'm sorry to inform you that the mayor is currently out at the moment. She's gone to worship at the chapel." Joshua asks, "When do you expect her back, sir?" But Lamena says, "Well, let me see. Actually, I would imagine her to be making return any moment now." Estelle says, "Well, we're kinda in a hurry to meet her. Do you think it would be alright to call on her at the chapel?" Maina says, "Well, I don't wish to inconvenience you." Estelle grins, "Don't worry, it would probably save the both of us some trouble. But if you don't mind me asking, what does the mayor look like? Like the typical wealthy person? Big hat with feathers in it, dripping gemstones from every pore?" Maina asks, "Feathers? Gemstones from every what? How colourful, but quite off the mark, I assure you. How would I describe her? Should I say she looks splendid, or should I say beautifully mature? If she could just find the right man, then I could retire in peace." Estelle gasps, "Huh?" Maina says, "Never mind, I was just thinking out loud. Ah yes, this may help. The mayor has a maid accompanying her. That might be the easiest way to find her." Joshua says, "The mayor is being accompanied by a maid, huh? That sounds easy enough to find in a crowd of people." Estelle says, "Let's hurry and head over to the chapel." To the chapel. The chapel of shopping? No, guess not. Purple being the Septian Church, which would be the closest thing to a chapel, which should be right down the end of this road. And that looks like a maid. So these two are talking about the hello. Cigaro says, "As we were arriving in Bose, the airliner flights were cancelled. And right in the middle of my pilgrimage too." Adele says, "La la la, we're finally here. This day has finally arrived. After my husband is done worshipping here, it's off to the Bose market to buy. I'm sure he thinks a lot of that. Hello. Estelle says, "Oh, there you are. You're the maid we've been looking for. Leela asks, and you are? Joshua sighs. Estelle, that wasn't very polite. My apologies. We're with the Bracers Guild. We're looking for the mayor so we can confirm the details of the job she requested. Leela replies, Oh, I see. Please let me introduce myself. I am her maid, Leela. I see to the mayor's daily needs. Estelle says, being served hand and foot, huh? The worlds we live in are really different. So where is the mayor, if you don't mind me asking? Didn't she come here to pray? Leela sighs. She's playing hooky from her religious duties. Estelle asks, Huh? Leela says, I'm sure she's probably in the middle of inspecting the situation at the market. She took off after telling me to pray for her too. Joshua laughs nervously. I don't know how I should say this, but the mayor seems like she has quite a unique personality. Scheherazade says, well, doesn't she sound interesting? Even if she weren't the mayor, I'd be kind of intrigued. Leela replies, there is no doubt she's a capable person, although she does have a bit of an unrestrained aspect to her at times. Anyway, I'm on my way to meet her right now. I don't mean to sound impolite. Would you mind waiting at her residence? I will let her know you're there. Estelle replies, I don't know how I feel about going back there empty-handed. Would it be alright if I came along with you instead? Leela asks, come with me to meet the mayor? Like Let's make our way over to the Bose market then. And off we go. Estelle says, wow, this place is really huge. I wonder where the mayor is. Leela replies, well, she does stand out in a crowd, so I'm sure you'll find her right away. Oh, just as I thought. A young woman says, the two of you should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves. Trying to force up the price of food at a time like this by buying it all up? You're not fit to be merchants in Bose. Buck stutters, but ma'am. Trayton adds, we were just thinking about how to increase sales of the Bose market in general. The young woman shouts, I don't want to hear any more from you. If it were other products, it would be a different story, but making undue profits on necessities will lead to negative publicity for the market. Return these goods to their original prices at once. Buck says, all right. Trayton adds, we'll do as you say. The young woman says, now I don't doubt your passion for the Bose market, but I want you to understand this. Commerce, when you get right down to it, is the established relationship of trust between people. And believe me, if you do business with that in mind, you can become wonderful merchants in Bose. Buck says, yes, ma'am. Trayton says, we'll do our best. The young one sighs, phew. Leela says, Madame. The young woman says, Leela, so you came, huh? I'm sorry you had to see that side of me. Leela says, actually, you did a wonderful job as always. But never mind that. These people are here to see you. Please come back home immediately. The young woman says, oh, that emblem is... Could you be the braces I requested? Estelle nods. Yep, that's us, but... Joshua asks, so does that mean that you're... The young woman laughs. Forgive me for not introducing myself. My name is Maybelle. I am the owner of this market and the mayor of the Bose region. So of course she takes us to the posh restaurant just to show off. Estelle gasps, this restaurant looks super expensive. Are we really going to have a meeting here? Maybelle says, I often use this place for business meetings. The food is quite good too. Scheherazade says, I tell you what though, I had heard the mayor of Bose was a woman, but I never imagined you would be this young. Estelle says, based on looks alone, I would guess that you're only 4 or 5 years older than me. Maybelle replies, actually, I still feel like I'm nothing more than an unworthy successor to my father. My late father was the previous mayor, and all I did was inherit the rights to the Bose market and the political foundation which he set up. Joshua says, that's a rather unvarnished self-evaluation if I've ever heard one. Maybelle says, after all, I'm just the daughter of a businessman, so there's no sense in getting high-hat about that. But anyway, would it be alright to go over the details of my request with you again? Estelle nods. Sure, that'd be fine. Maybelle says, well, what I would like to ask that you do is investigate the disappearance of the missing airship and bring closure to the incident. I am of the opinion that braces would bring about much more desirable results concerning this incident than the army is currently producing. The reason being, we're not fighting a war, we're trying to find answers and solve a mystery. Scheherazade says, well, I for one would be on it, but don't you think that you're overrating us just a bit? Maybelle grins. Just call it a businesswoman's prerogative. The fact of the matter is, an influential businessman was aboard the airliner that disappeared. In addition, if the Royal Army continues to keep the Bose airspace as a no-fly zone, business is going to suffer. And just when business has been booming prior to the Queen's birthday celebration too. Joshua says, I see. So this is an economic appeal, right? Maybelle says, yes, and it's something which I can't trust to be left up to the army alone. So what do you think? Will you accept my request for your help in the matter? Scheherazade says, well, we have our own reasons for wanting to investigate the incident, and we'd like to accept the job, but the army has actively been trying to exclude braces from anything having to do with the incident. So, I don't suppose you could pull the mayor card for us, could you? Maybe show the army who's running the show? Maybelle asks, excluding braces? This must have something to do with General Morgan, then. That man has disliked braces from the beginning. Estelle asks, so you know who the general is, Mayor Maybelle? Maybelle replies, he was a friend of my late father's. Tentatively speaking, we have a passing acquaintance with one another. So I may just be able to do something for you. Joshua asks, meaning? Maybelle says, Leila. Leila says, yes, madame. Leila produced a sheet of letter paper and a fountain pen from her pocket and handed them to Mayor Maybelle. Maybelle scribbles something on the paper and says, I guess this should be sufficient. Here, please take this with you. We've received Mayor Maybelle's letter. Estelle asks, what's this letter for? Maybelle replies, it's a letter of request to General Morgan. It is to inform him of my request for information about the incident as the official responsible for the region. I think this should be enough to get some information out of the army. Estelle says, I see. But I wonder if that bracer-hating general will even meet it with us at all. Maybelle says, I think it would be a pretty safe bet as long as you hide your identities. You would probably be best served by saying that your message is for the mayor. Estelle sighs, I don't know if I like the sound of that. It feels like we're lying or something. Joshua replies, it's not lying. We'd just not be telling him everything. Since this is a time-sensitive situation, I think we should be practical about it. Estelle sighs, I guess you're right, Joshua. By the way, where do we need to go to meet General Morgan? Maybelle replies, there's a fort called the Haken Gate on the international border to the north of Bose. You should be able to find the general there. Maybelle says, all right everyone, I'm counting on you. Estelle says, you just leave everything to us. If we find out anything, we'll come and let you know. Maybelle says, I'll be looking forward to some good news. Goodbye and have a wonderful day. Leela says, goodbye. Scheherazade says, alright, let's get going, shall we? The Haken Gate is at the end of the Isen Road to the north of the East Bose Highway. Joshua says, in short, we need to head out the East Gate and then turn north thereafter, right? Estelle says, alrighty then, Haken Gate, here we come. Well, actually, shopping time, here we come. Let's see what's around here, shall we? Items. Spence says each month one shop in the market receives an award from the mayor, and last month my shop was chosen for being the most scrupulous. Now I just feel like working all the harder. Scheherazade says, interesting. It looks like the mayor's got her own ideas about how to make the economy grow here in Bose. Joshua agrees, yeah, she may be young, but you can definitely see that she's really supporting the market. Right, now what do you have, sir? Tear balm, purging balm, softening balm. We probably should take some of these, especially reviving balm. Confused, we'll take 5 of you. 5 of you. Okay. On we go. This bloke at the top hat, Mason. I love looking for bargains, he says. Whenever there are antiques to be found, I just can't ignore it. I'm not sure you'll find antique plates, Mason. Bomb says the mayor just stopped by a minute ago and gave us some advice on how to run our business. She was even kind enough to teach me about setting out goods and how to address customers. But after that, she bought some dishes from us. Well, that's nice. Felicia says, all of my products are made with a woman's touch, and they're just as good as anyone else's, if not better. Right, and what do you have? We have a work helmet. A laundry pole. A laundry pole. Okay. I'm not sure the economy's quite right. the amount of money we have, the amount of money we get, and the cost of increasing our equipment by 3 in the case of the knives, and 3 in the case of the pole again. Same thing with the hat. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Does not seem quite right. Still. Let's see what else we can find. Libero says, whenever I come by this place, I always find myself stopping in. Since I basically come here every day, I probably know where things are in this place better than the shop owner herself. I mean, if you're going to nick stuff, you probably should, yeah. Minuet says, I've been doing business here since back in the days when this was an open-air market. In other words, I'm the most senior merchant here in the market. Estelle asks, so I guess you're a real veteran here then, huh? Minuet replies, yeah, we're talking more than 40 years ago when I started up this business. And at that time, there wasn't a wonderful building here like you see now. Bose may have changed a lot, but the air of excitement you see here is the one thing that hasn't. Right, so what do you have? Carnelia. Wow. 1,000 and I don't even know what they're for. So we'll just leave them with her for the time being. Adele says, Tee, I feel sorry for my husband, but I feel kind of lucky that our flight was cancelled. Now I'll be able to spend more time shopping. Gantz says, the pure smile of the girl who works here at this shop is to die for. In fact, I come here to buy sweets several times a day just to see her smile. Okay. Katrina says, I recently started helping here around the store, but I'm still learning the ropes. I actually still get embarrassed trying to invite customers to look at our wares. I know I'm going to have to do something to change my attitude, but... And she just left it there. Okay, what else do you have, Katerina? Sweet sponge cake. Heals 200 HP and adds 15% speed. Oh, and floral chili. Heals 550 HP and cures poison. A refreshingly herbal chili, best when chilled. The sweet sponge cake is a fluffy, fresh baked cake that sweetly melts in the mouth. So we'll have to buy one of each. And I won't just eat them straight away. We'll save them for when we actually need them, because we will. Oh, she's here. She's here. That weirdo with the camera. Viral cries. I forgot what I was supposed to buy. And this is after my mum let me come here all by myself. Maybe I should just go home and ask again. That would be very grown up. Emmy says, if you want to get your hands on advertised items, you'll have to camp out in front of the market well before it opens. That's pretty much the basic of all basics for shoppers. This bloke. Paul. His name is Paul. Look at that. Originally, I was a commissioned officer in the Royal Army, but for some reason I couldn't give up my dream, so I left it all behind and opened up this shop. My wife fought me tooth and nail about this, so I've got to work hard to make her understand why I chose this path. My daughter, on the other hand, is happy about my business. Well, that's fortunate for you. Paul and Elka's Outlet. What do you have? Strega J. The junior model of Strega brand sneakers. These will be what Estelle is over the moon about. Unfortunately, they lower her defense. They add 6 defense and 1 movement. And we have a red scarf. A gaudy neckwear to accept the collar, painfully bright. Increases defense by 2. We'll just leave that there for the time being. You, sir, you. I'll come round to you. Buck says, when you start a business here, you can receive aid from the city. Estelle says, wow, Bose is really a city of commerce, just like everyone says. Scheherazade adds, yeah, that's because since Mayor Maybell's father's time, the city has supported this place. Buck says, the reason we've all been able to have our own stores like this is because of the late Mayor, Maybell's father. But I regret to say I've caused a bit of trouble for the Mayor. I've brought disgrace upon the merchants of Bose. Right, well, what do you have? You have a greengrocers, flaky potatoes, crisp onions, dirty carrots, luscious orange, ripe apples. Okay. Trayton says, we had only thought about profit. Mayor Maybell was exactly right about us when she got angry. We were on the verge of straying from the path of a merchant. Gee, I wish Maybell would have a few words in a couple of years around our business industry. Tri-coloured rice. Aged miso. Vintage wine. Marbled steak is only $100, but 3 colours of rice is $200. Okay. They mustn't have rice. In Bose. Carol says, alright, I've decided. Today we're going to have fish. Now the bigger question is whether to grill the fish or to boil it. Grill, please. Boiled fish is just... That is a crime against fish. Alright. Hello, Dorothy. Joshua says, oh, hi, Dorothy. What are you up to? Eating roses? Dorothy says, well, don't you all have shining faces today? Okay, now smile for the camera, please. Estelle says, it looks like she can't hear you. Joshua nods, yeah, I guess she's off in her own little world again. Well, that was less painful than it could have been. So east. East is not west, so we'll just head east. And then north. Actually, I say that. Now the braces. See, let's see if we got any more things that we can do. That one will probably come in due course. Alright. Bose. Haken Gate. North Haken Gate. 210 yards. Bison Road. Oh, we're being stopped at the border. Royal Army soldier says, hold it right there. The Haken Gate is currently not permitting civilian passage through the checkpoint. The other Royal Army soldier says, unauthorised personnel are not allowed past this point. Estelle says, sorry to make you waste your breath, but we are authorised to be here. Estelle produced Mayor Maybell's letter with a flourish. The first Royal Army soldier says, "This is Mayor Maybelle's." Joshua says, "The Mayor has requested that we come and speak with General Morgan about the status of the search." Scheherazade adds, "As you can see, this document is official, but if you don't want to let us through, I'm sure you'll be hating life later." The first Royal Army soldier says, I guess there's nothing we can do but let you through." The second Royal Army soldier asks, "Are you serious about this?" First Royal Army soldier says, "Don't you know, Mayor Maybelle is the one in charge over the entire region. We can't just ignore that." The second Royal Army soldier says, "I guess you're right." "All right. We'll grant you permission to pass, but make sure you don't cause any problems. Whatever happens, never forget that we share a border with the Empire." Estelle nods. Yeah, we got it already." Scheherazade says, "All right then, let us through." And off we go. I wonder if they do gardening on there. They certainly don't do monster termination. Look at this. It is a Rhymera, a Hrisvelga chick. It reflects arts with the shell on its head, and it can call for backup. And it has no elemental weakness. I mean, it doesn't look like a dragon. It looks more like a bird. But didn't know how to get out of its egg. Oh, there's two of them this time. Okay, so don't choose hearts. Oh, come on! Oh, hello. Oh. These are Hrisvelga, an avian monster living in barren wastelands, incredibly powerful but weak against fire. And yes, it takes 500% damage from fire. Let's get rid of the chicks first. Thank you for missing. Oh, ow. Right. I'd actually better heal. Joshua. Well, that is very effective, but wow, that's a lot of HP to get through. 1,120. Ooh. Ow. No, don't do that. Not with critical. Well, that's one gone at least. And he missed, so that's a thing. Hrisvelga missed the second time. That wasn't nice. Oh, come on!
That's that then. Let's move out.
I do like how the battle theme changes to a more got some tender poultry to a more frantic theme when our HP takes a nosedive. So what did we learn? We learned we need to kill these things before they call mummy.
That's that then. Let's move out.
And some more tender poultry. Oh, okay, Hresvolga. You need to go first. So.
Let's do this!
Oh.
Someone's been naughty.
Here I come!
No, not enough. Better heal Joshua. And no, I still have not worked out what is still supposed to be. It's really weird. She just does not fit an archetype. Oh, okay then. I mean, at a stretch you could say she's a paladin, but she heals too well for that, you know? Oh, ow. Would really like to blue mage that one.
That's that then. Let's move out.
Oh, I think someone just let off a firecracker. Got some tender poultry there. At least I don't hear screaming, so yeah, probably not a gunshot. Not here anyway. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Phew.
Oh, are we done already?
Okay, here's Falco. No, not that, not that. Item. Okay. Going to use sweet sponge cake on Joshua and learn the recipe for it. Alright, in we go. 4, really? This isn't looking good for Estelle, is all I'll say. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, we got him. Or one of him anyway. Because I am fairly sure that at least one of these is going to summon another. Really? No. Oh, and it's got strength up for it too. That isn't good. Joshua, no! Okay.
We're good to go.
Sort of. For real? Yeah, no, we're gonna have to flee from this. Well, that was a waste of a reviving bomb. some potluck in a shell. Just because. Right. Right. You're going to critical that, so... Okay, now only one can come. One more can come. Rude.
All right, we're good to go.
Phew. Estelle and Joshua leveled up. 4 tender poultry. Yay! So much for the army being out here though. Ow!
That's that then. Let's move out.
The Erebonia border. That was a very quick introductory panel. Estelle gasps. This is the Haken Gate? It's freaking huge! Scheherazade says, of course it's huge. It acts as the sole entrance to the Empire and is the rampart that protects Le Bel from foreign threats. After it was destroyed in the war 10 years ago, a much more robust wall was built in its place. Standard military reaction, bigger equals better. Estelle says, which means that beyond this point is no longer Le Bel. Joshua nods. Yeah, it's the territory of the Erebonian Empire, which stands beneath the emblem of the Golden Stallion. Estelle says, the Erebonian Empire. Joshua says, well, enough staring for one day, let's go meet with General Morgan. There are some barracks right there to the side of the gate. Maybe we'll find him in there. Estelle nods. Okay, let's go. Scheherazade says, before that, I want you to remove those brace emblems you've got pinned on your chests. Things won't be pretty if General Morgan sees those. Estelle says, oh, I forgot all about that. Estelle and Joshua reluctantly remove their bracer emblems. Estelle says, I feel all weird doing this. Joshua agrees, yeah, there's something that just doesn't feel right about this. Scheherazade says, don't worry, that's proof that you've started adjusting to being a bracer. Carlos says, I'm thinking about visiting the Empire. Doesn't look like anyone's here to fill out the necessary paperwork for leaving the country, though. Well, it doesn't really matter to me, since I just live my life on my own, on a whim. In fact, the only reason I decided to travel to the Empire is, well, because it occurred to me. That's probably not the best way to, probably not the best way to go about running your life, but it's up to you. The blonde-haired man says, what a surprise! This is my first time eating Le Bel's cooking, but it was rather delectable. Nolan says, I'm glad you liked it. If you head to town, there's a number of other places where you can eat great Le Bel cooking as well. You enjoy this trip of yours, all right? The blonde-haired man says, that I will do, believe me. If this is the kind of food I can get in a border dive like this, then I truly am in for a feast elsewhere in this land. Nolan says, well, excuse me for having my bar here on the outskirts of the country. Before you go feasting on the finer things, how about a glass of wine? I know it's not high-end exactly, but the taste is worth the price. The blonde-haired man says, well then maybe I will. Estelle whispers, do you think this guy is... Joshua whispers back, he looks like a traveller from the Empire if you ask me. Amelia says, that blonde-haired man over there is rather handsome and well-dressed, but after talking to him, I found him to be a little odd. Marco says, I'm a merchant from the Erebonian Empire, and I'm on my way to Bose. Good for you, Marco. Nolan, what have you got? Nolan says, good day and welcome to our humble establishment on the outskirts of Bose. Since this is a bar, we've got wine to drink and food to eat. Just don't expect anything too elaborate. Alright, well, what do you have? We've got a vegetable sandwich, which yields 150 HP, a sandwich packed with greens for the health conscious, and more potluck in a shell. Okay, so we'll grab a veggie sandwich. We will convert some of this sapith. case. Get a decent bit. Let's ask to rest. 60 monies for the night. Okay, yes, I had better. Yes. Because we don't know what's ahead, do we? The blonde-haired man says, this wine is quite good. If this is called cheap wine, then Libelle must be a wonderful country for tastes. I think this only adds to Queen Alicia's prestige as a ruler. Good for you. Excuse me. The sentry asks, how in the world did you guys get through? The barricade hasn't been lifted on the Icen Road yet. Joshua replies, we came here on an errand for Mayor Maybelle from Bose. Do you think you could get us in to see General Morgan? Joshua explained what the mayor requested without disclosing his identity. The sentry says, well, that's understandable. In that case, I could definitely get you in to see the general, but unfortunately he's out at the moment. He's actually spearheading a number of searches right now. Scheherazade says, it looks like our timing was bad. You don't happen to have an idea when he might return, do you? The sentry replies, I think he'll be back later sometime today. There's a bar in that rest stop over there, so why don't you wait for him there? I'll let you know when he gets back. Estelle asks, the bar? You mean the place we were just at? Why is there a bar in a place like this anyway? The sentry replies, obviously because this is the border with the Empire. The screening process for those entering and leaving the country is really strict, so there are a lot of travellers who have to wait quite a bit. Joshua says that makes a lot of sense. In that case, it's understandable that you would need facilities like an inn and a bar. Scheherazade says, well then, we'll take you up on your suggestion and wait over at the bar. Why don't we? See what Blondie's talking about now. Oh, hello. The blonde-haired man says, good day to you all, my fine friends. You appear to be citizens of Libelle, but may I ask you if you're travelling to the Empire? Estelle replies, nope, we're just here on an errand. We're not travelling to the Empire. Joshua says, you appear to be a citizen of Erebonia yourself. What about you? Are you here to visit the Libelle Kingdom? The blonde-haired man says, I'm glad you asked. I am indeed a visitor in Libelle, both for work and for pleasure. And you say you're running an errand, but I can see your true colours. I know exactly who you are. Estelle asks, who are we? The blonde-haired man nods. Indeed. Your braces, no? Estelle asks, how do you know? We removed our bracer emblems. Wait, are you trying to tell us that you're in the same profession? The blonde-haired man replies, it's true that there are guild branches in the Empire, but actually I'm not a bracer. I just know several people in the guild, that's all. And there's an air about you that reminded me of them, so I just thought I'd ask. Joshua says, those are some excellent deductive reasoning skills you've got. I don't think an amateur could have picked us out of a crowd like that. Are you sure you're a traveller? The blonde-haired man laughs. Please don't look at me with such suspicious eyes. Those cold flickering eyes of amber, just like a glass of exquisite brandy. You just make me want to kiss you and hold you in my arms. Joshua asks, what? Scheherazade says, you're a bold one, aren't you? Estelle shouts, wait a minute, you? Are you one of those men who likes other boys? The blonde-haired man grins. I just can't help myself when I see something beautiful standing before my eyes. Daughters of serenity, sons of elegance. Supernatural melodies and cleansing landscapes, masterpieces and stories to move the soul. And last but not least, the most exquisite in food and drink. For things such as these are those which pique my interest. Estelle groans. So you're a pervert, just like I thought. Scheherazade nods. Yep, definitely a pervert. The blonde-haired man sighs. How dreadful it is that genius is misunderstood in every generation. I feel as if my delicate glass heart is about to be broken. You, with your magnificent black hair, please comfort me in my time of need. Joshua says, I'm going to have to pass. You've already scarred me for life as it is. Nolan says, I've had strange conversations in my day, but this one is worth remembering. The look on that kid's face. Ha ha. The sentry calls, Hey, you three. Scheherazade says, Oh, it's the soldier from earlier. The sentry says, The general has just returned. I just spoke with him about the matter, and he said he'll meet you now. Estelle asks, Really? The sentry nods. Yes, come to the barracks with me immediately. Joshua says, Wow, that was much quicker than I thought. Scheherazade agrees. Yeah, now at least maybe we'll be able to find out what's going on. The blonde-haired man says, Okay, then let's be off, shall we? Estelle asks, What are you following us around for? Scheherazade says, Your timing is excellent. You didn't miss a beat next stick behind us. It seemed almost natural. Scarily so. The blonde man chuckles. Ha, you noticed. Everything about you all just seemed so interesting, I thought I'd take a gander. Please don't mind me. Carry on, my good gent and mademoiselles. Estelle shouts, Of course we're going to mind. Now get you. Shoo, shoo. Blonde-haired man sighs. Scrooge. Joshua asks, Who was that guy? Seriously, what was his deal? Scheherazade says, He's not normal, that's for sure. Estelle says, Getting rid of that weirdo is probably better not only for ourselves, but a service for the world at large too. Now let's hurry and meet with the general. And as she says that, I'm going to call an end to the episode here. Get some more... and calm Dawn down a little bit. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next episode.